preface my talk about voice with a confession. I am a speaker, as Will mentioned, by nature of my having spoken for the Muscular Dystrophy Association since 2005. But I consider myself first and foremost to be a writer. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, what is this guy talking about? Voice. I hate writing. I have to do that all the time, and I hate it. What is this going to do for me? Nothing. Nothing. But I think that you'll find that developing your voice has applications beyond simply cultivating a style of speech or writing. So, what do I mean by voice, and where does my concept of voice come from? Because I speak for MDA, I'm asked all the time, almost every day, how do you speak in front of so many people? What's your trick? Most people are more afraid of public speaking than they are of death. Seriously. So I started asking myself, what is the trick? And how do we gain confidence that we are individuals who have things worth saying? Let's see if this works. There we go. I found a bit of an answer in the concept of the U brand. How many of you have heard of the U brand? Probably most of us, especially young people. The U brand says that you as an individual are an asset who has to be developed, polished, promoted, and carefully maintained, just like any corporate brand. I was an early disciple of the U brand idea, but I couldn't help but feel that something was missing. You are not the same as, say, Coca-Cola or Nike. Why? Because you don't exist entirely on a resume or in a portfolio. You aren't just a series of images and slogans. Something about you is fundamentally different from a corporate product or service, and the difference is that you have a voice. I'm a communication studies major with an emphasis on rhetoric, and one of the great writers on rhetoric was Socrates. And Socrates said that speech is what separates human beings from other animals. That through speech, we respond to the world and have cultivated or created all of those things that we value about civilization. Now, if we take speech to mean all varieties of symbolic expression, then we can see how central speech is to who we are, what we do, and how we do it. In the literary world, voice is the term we often use to denote an author's distinctive style, tone, or presence in a work. But much more broadly, it is the vehicle of speech, the channel through which each of us communicates our thoughts and ideas. Voice is what I found to be missing from the U brand. Each of us could achieve more, create more, empower more, and be more if we spent less time fancying up our resumes and more time cultivating and raising our distinct voices. My journey as a speaker and writer has been one of voice discovery, and through it, I have found that an effective voice must be 5 things. First, an effective voice is vital. By this I mean that having and using your voice is essential. Growing up with a physical disability, I would often look at my body and feel cheated. say, what good is this useless shell to me? But then, as I started speaking and writing, I realized that the essence of who I am is not couched within my body, but within my voice. Voice is vital to who I am. It should be vital to who you are as well. You need not be an excellent public speaker or a talented writer. Obviously, I think voice is vital to these tasks, but it's vital to everyday expression as well. How well you articulate your understanding of some topic or subject or issue, whether or not acquaintances remember conversations with you, and if they do remember, what they remember. All of this depends on the unique ways in which you use your voice. Voice must be vital to who you are. Second, and my PowerPoint is ahead of me, so you now know, an effective voice must be, I hate technology, just so you know. An effective voice must be original. Your literal voice, the sound produced by your larynx, is like your fingerprint. It's unique to you. Yes, there are some voices that are more unique than others. Michael Douglas, Oprah Winfrey, Morgan Freeman. We can recognize these celebrity voices anywhere. But those of us who aren't famous actors can still capitalize on the basic, inherent distinctiveness of our voices by making them more original. When I speak for MDA, I have the challenge of turning a generic message into one that has special significance for whatever audience I'm addressing. So the crux of what I say is pretty much always the same. We, the people served by MDA, so appreciate your support, yada, yada, yada. In order to connect that stock message with a particular audience, I have to add something original to it each and every time I speak. So, for example, in one of my better original twists, I once used a line from the Will Ferrell movie Talladega Nights to wake up a room full of half-asleep Kappa Alpha guys. They had spent a day listening to some rather boring people talk, and I was like, they don't want to listen to me. Nobody wants to listen to me after they've had a day of this, and so off the cuff, I used Will Ferrell. Save the day. Third, an effective voice must be integrative. This is my favorite component, and it was inspired by a communications scholar whom I had the privilege of meeting this past May. Her name is Dr. Marilyn Delare, and in addition to being a professor at the University of San Francisco, she's a dancer. And in graduate school, she felt a tension between two different parts of herself. The part who was an academic, and the part who was a performance artist. Determined not to lead a split life, Dr. Delare ingeniously married her two loves. Much of her scholarship deals with the performative aspects of communication, particularly with how people affect social change through embodied performance. So this is what I mean by integrative. Taking two or more disparate passions or loves, whatever, and establishing connections between them. Your voice should be integrative. Some synonyms for integrative. Fourth, an effective voice must be courageous. I took a course this past fall in creative nonfiction. And we had an editor visit our class who said that every book should be thought of as an individual voice in a larger conversation. I loved that idea. And I think the idea that the work that we do, whatever it is, contributes to a greater conversation applies across disciplines and professions. But in order for your voice or your work to contribute meaningfully and memorably to the conversations that you are a part of, you have to be courageous. You have to be willing to take a risk or two, to speak or act in unconventional ways, to ask difficult questions, to allow yourself to be vulnerable. I am often told that I am courageous, just simply for living my life and not letting my disability stop me. But I think it's really my willingness to make myself vulnerable, to put myself out there, that makes me appear courageous or brave. Next week, I will be reading an excerpt from an essay that I wrote at the 2014 Southern Literary Festival. And in this essay, I explore my time working with professional caregivers. And I attempt to show what it's like to balance physical dependence on others with a natural disposition for independence. There's no way I could have done this without revealing very personal details of my day-to-day life, without revealing myself to my readers. So voice should be courageous. And finally, your voice should be evocative. It should evoke a response, both from within and from without. The proverbial voice inside your head, right? How many of us have used that phrase? The proverbial voice inside your head calls you to action. It compels you to speak or act in certain ways at certain times. Thus, it evokes a response from within, from you. It should also evoke a response from others. When I write, I intend to elicit some response from my readers. So I'll use the essay that I just talked about again as an example. Maybe after reading that essay, my readers will come to see the idea of normal day-to-day life as changeable, variable for every person. Maybe, maybe not. In most cases, I will never know what kind of response my writing evokes, but I have to have some response, any response in mind, or else I'm just writing empty words. Vital, original, integrative, courageous, and evocative. This is voice. I want to leave you with a series of questions that I think if you spend some time reflecting on will help you discover your own voice according to this model. First, what vital message do I want to convey? Second, if this thing would function, or maybe somebody up there can do this. Thank you. What are some of my unique traits? How can I draw them out? Third, what are 2 things I am passionate about? How can I integrate them? Fourth, what risks can I take to make my work bolder? And finally, fifth, what response or responses do I hope to elicit? I am grateful to MDA for providing me with the many stages on which I slowly found my voice, and to the many teachers who, over the years, have encouraged me to keep writing. Whether you are currently trying to figure things out or are nearing the end of a long career, I hope that you will think about how you can use your unique voice to make a difference, change a life, leave a legacy. One final fun fact. I love musical theater. Last year, I saw the show Sister Act. Everybody knows Sister Act? Whoopi Goldberg is a nun. Talk about a distinct voice. Well, there's a song in Sister Act that has this line in the refrain. Raise the stakes, raise your game, raise your voice. This is the challenge that I have issued myself, and today I issue it to you. Raise the stakes, raise your game, raise your voice. Thank you.